But first, it's my brain dump. Well, I was planning to start tonight's show with the impending report on illegal lockdown-busting parties in Downing Street, which is finally due any day now. Feels like we waited longer for civil servant Sue Gray's report than the sequel to Top Gun, but now it's here. Looks like it could be every bit as explosive. But in the last few hours, sensational photographs have been published by ITV News, which in my view render the report, well, frankly, superfluous. It's now pretty clear that Boris Johnson hasn't just lied to the British people and the media, he's also lied to Parliament. Here's a clip of Boris Johnson in Parliament last December. He was asked a direct question about a specific party.
The Prime Minister tell the House whether there was a party in Downing Street on the 13th of November.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no, but I'm sure that whatever happened, the guidance was followed and the rules were followed at all times.
Well, we all just heard him, right? I mean, he said very clearly when he was asked, was there a party on November the 13th? No. He said that to Parliament, to the country. And he said the rules were followed at all times. But the photos published tonight show him at a party on November the 13th. Leaving drinks held for Johnson's former spin doctor, Lee Kane. Now, remember at the time the country was in its second lockdown. Pubs were closed. Gatherings of 2 or more people were banned. Yet here is Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, the man who made the rules, a glass raised in toast, bottles of booze and party food on the table. And there, next to him, a government red box with all his prime ministerial papers. What was in that box? More details of new pandemic lockdown laws for the rest of the British public to obey? Boris Johnson was always very clear about obeying the rules.
Mr. Speaker, we expect everybody in this country to obey the law.
Right, expect himself, right? Apart from him and all his staff at Downing Street. It's now very clear that a lot of people in the corridors of power of number 10 Downing Street, led by the guy at the top, ignored their own rules and broke the law. Boris Johnson attended illicit parties and then he lied about it. And we now also know that 2 weeks ago, he had a secret meeting with Sue Gray, the very woman charged with investigating him and his staff. And when the meeting was exposed, the one they hadn't bothered to tell us about, Downing Street briefed it was all her idea. Then today, Downing Street admitted, actually, it was their idea. So they lied again about a meeting that Boris Johnson wanted with the woman investigating him just before the report comes out. And we're supposed to believe this is an independent report. Well, Sue Gray must now publish the report in full, including every one of the 500 photographs of parties she said to have collected. Let the public judge with our own eyes and make up our own minds, because tonight one thing is crystal clear about Partygate. We can't trust a word that comes out of a Downing Street frat house about this whole tawdry affair. We're talking of tawdry affairs. Prince Andrew continues to shame the British establishment. He was rightly stripped of his honorary titles and the designation of His Royal Highness in public after settling his civil sex abuse case out of court for a reported $11 million. The payout for Virginia Giuffre, who claimed the prince assaulted her when she was just 17, made no admission of guilt. But Andrew had said he was determined to fight the case to the end and clear his name. And then he just caved and wrote a big fat cheque. That decision obliterated his reputation and heaped embarrassment on his mother, the Queen, and it tarnished the monarchy severely too. It should have been the end of Andrew as a public figure, but it seems literally just a few months later, he wants to come back. The Queen, remember, banned him and the Sussexes from the Buckingham Palace balcony at next week's Jubilee celebrations, and that looked like he was being frozen out. But incredibly, the comeback seems on. First, he emerged centre stage at Prince Philip's memorial, riding with Her Majesty the Queen and then walking her into the Abbey while all the world was watching. Now reports over the weekend say he'll appear alongside the Queen at Garter Day, one of the most important royal ceremonies of the year. He'll be listed on the formal royal court circular and dressed in full regalia as an official royal knight. The grotesque irony of Andrew starring on a day designed to honour chivalry won't be lost on his accuser, nor should it be lost on any of us. It's frankly a disgrace that he will be going to that event at all, let alone as a royal knight. It will cause more humiliation for the Queen, more damage to the monarchy. He should be barred from attending. Well, the English football season reached a thrilling conclusion this weekend, but the final few days of action were marred by a series of horrendous attacks by so-called fans. Yesterday, Aston Villa goalkeeper Robin Olsen was smacked 3 times as Manchester City supporters invaded the pitch to celebrate winning the title. He just let in 3 goals in 5 minutes to gift them a trophy. You'd think these witless morons would be chanting his name in delight, not attacking him. Last Tuesday, a boozed-up thug headbutted Sheffield United's Billy Sharp as Forest fans charged the pitch to celebrate making it to Wembley for their playoff final. And 2 days later, Crystal Palace manager Patrick Vieira was abused and goaded by a foul-mouthed Everton supporter who was filming the entire thing on his own phone. Vieira eventually kicked out at the yob, prompting calls for him to be investigated by authorities. But why? He never backed down as a player. Why should he back down to a snivelling little coward hurling spittle at him? There's been a steady, depressing increase in this kind of incident since pandemic restrictions were lifted. Current punishments clearly aren't working as a deterrent. And the bottom line is that if these pitch invasions continue, remember, it is a criminal offence to go on the pitch at all, then we're going to see a player or manager get seriously injured or even killed. I would fine every single pitch invader from this day on £20,000 each with immediate effect and give them a 20-year ban from all football matches. It might sound draconian, but what other option is there? The party has to be over for these pitch invaders because they have already ruined the party. Well, viral news now. It's not COVID or monkeypox, but a rare outbreak of common sense at the heart of the British government. Officials have overturned an attempt to introduce gender-neutral language in a new law that would have replaced the word mothers with expectant people. New guidance has now been issued to ensure future bills will use gendered words that, well, correspond to the gender whoever they're talking about. That old chestnut. This is a rare victory in the woke war on words, which is apparently designed to avoid upsetting a tiny minority whilst constantly enraging the majority. So while we have the attention of those in the corridors of power about this issue, here's my uncensored guide to snowflake syntax and some other words I'm pretty sick of hearing about. Trauma. This used to be something you suffered in a car accident or after a life-changing event. Now, apparently, we have hidden trauma, racial trauma, gender trauma, collective trauma, trauma healing, trauma survival, trauma bonding. It's not all trauma, is it? You can dislike something without being traumatized. The other one's violence. You know this one. Physical force intended to hurt somebody, right? Like those football yobs attacking players, but not anymore. History is now violent. Silence is violent. Words are violent. But they're not, are they? Violence is violence. Phobia used to mean something that was an extreme fear of things. Now it just means someone says something you don't like. It's not Islamophobic, for example, if I say I don't like women being forced to wear head-to-toe coverings. It's not transphobic if I say women are adult human females and not menstruating persons. Having a phobia means you're scared. The only thing I'm scared of are these oversensitive snowflakes destroying our language.